Back to Brian Williams. The soundbite rostered. I've done my best to diversify the program, folks. But, I mean, Brian Williams is all over the drive-bys. Here's Lester Holt, who is sitting in for Williams in the anchor chair.
We want to take just a moment to tell you where Brian is tonight. In a message to his colleagues over the weekend, Brian told us he's taking several days off this broadcast amid questions over how he recalled certain stories he covered. In a career spent covering the news, Brian told us it's clear he's become too much a part of the news. He'll be off while this issue is dealt with.
This is, I don't know. Just to take a moment, tell you where Brian is tonight. Like the NBC audience is sitting on the edge of their chairs wondering where Brian is. Here's where Brian is. In a message to his colleagues over the weekend, Brian told us he's taking several days off this broadcast amid questions over how he recalled certain stories he covered. That's not what's going on here. You know, I just remembered I wasn't on that Chinook. I didn't show up for an hour after it was shot down, and I wasn't on the one that was shot. I just now remembered that. With the help of some military veterans at Stars and Stripes who were on the helicopter, too, and also didn't see me. Jeff Greenfield had an interesting thought. But before we play for you what Jeff Greenfield's thought is, let me replay for you something I said on this program yesterday. You know what's going to happen? There's going to be rehab for lying, and some enterprising entrepreneur is going to open up a liar's rehab center. Pathological lying rehab center. Jeff Greenfield, CNN, last night.
In this day and age, the anchor has to be something other than a deliverer of gravitas. He has to be a vivid personality. If the stories that are now being looked at reveal more fabulism, exaggeration, lies, whatever the right word is, he can't survive. I don't mean to be flip, but if Brian were like a rock star, and if Oprah Winfrey or Barbara Walters were still around, he could go and confess to an addiction for exaggerating. He could go into a clinic for 4 weeks and come out purified. I don't think for a journalist that's possible.
Do I know these people? Or do I know these people? Yes. Might Oprah come out and do a special? Might she return for a special for Brian Williams to show up and confess and essentially attend a 1-hour rehab session? I think Oprah still has some tears left in her. She could pull this off. Maybe Barbara Walters and Oprah co-host it. One from each network. Larry King decided to get in on this. This was, where was this? This was on the syndicated entertainment magazine show The Insider. Correspondent Michael Yo spoke with TV host Larry King about the Brian Williams scandal.
Smart. Let it die down. Maybe it'll go away. I don't know how to make an excuse. I've never had it happen to me, thank God.
Never had it happen to you? What about you never did it? Never had it happen to me. Somebody put a thought in my mind and I didn't know about it, and then I spoke it. Thank God it never happened to me. Let it die down. Maybe it'll go away. I don't know how to make an excuse. I never had it happen to me. Jon Stewart last night auditioning for the NBC nightly news gig.
I am happy. Finally, someone is being held to account for misleading America about the Iraq War. Finally. Now, it might not necessarily be the first person you'd want held accountable on that list. But never again will Brian Williams mislead this great nation about being shot at in a war we probably wouldn't have ended up in if the media had applied this level of scrutiny to the actual war.
Right. They had to love that at NBC News. This is the guy they tried to hire for Meet the Depressed. And by the way, he went on to excoriate Williams. I mean, after he applied for the job there, he then went, he just ripped Williams a new one time and time again. Last night on Comedy Central. But did I also not tell you that this was ultimately going to be blamed on George W. Bush? Because if it weren't for Bush, we wouldn't have been in Iraq. Now, Brian hasn't played that card yet, but it's still in his deck. I know. Jon Stewart's about 3 days late with that joke, but the people that only watch Jon Stewart don't know that. Now I have to take another brief timeout. Coming up, one more soundbite. Let me look at some. Yeah, one more soundbite. Infobabe anguish. Infobabe anguish. And Infobabe at CNN really distressed about all this. And more after we get back. Don't go away.